Let's bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, my people, and welcome to the Sn95 Power Channel. Today, we're going to do a little turbo talk. So not in regards to the turbo itself, but some of the accessories that you need. And, if you're living that on-3 turbo kit life, you know about the cheap blow-off valves. And, basically the kit comes with a cheap wastegate and a cheap blow-off valve. Now, I think it's common knowledge that, if you buy an on-3 turbo kit, you chuck the wastegate because those things don't hold any pressure at all. And the other side of this equation is the blow-off valve. Now, people have gotten real good use out of the on-3 China, whatever you want to call it, the little cheap blow-off valve that comes with the kit. It really doesn't see any heat, unlike with the wastegate, which heat really stresses components. This is on the cold side of the turbo system, so it's not as delicate as the wastegate. So this is like my second blow-off valve I've had on this. The original I'm just contradicting myself, but the original blow-off valve from on-3 I had, it leaked. I was only able to get like 9 psi, and that was with a name brand wastegate. So I ended up replacing it with this one I got from Amazon. I don't even know what the brand is or the name or anything like that. And this year I'm upgrading my not just this year, but last year I just been upgrading things on my turbo kit, my on-3 kit. I've had that kit for like 5 years, maybe 6 years now. And just the regular common issues that you have out of those on-3 kits. You can check out my video where I go get my header shaved. That fixed the chronic header leak that I would have so far this year. No issues, and I think I won't have an issue. That header was warped so bad. I've already replaced the wastegate, and so now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and just spend some money on a quality blow-off valve, and that's what I went with the Turbosmart. Let's unbox this and compare the two. These are both 50 millimeter wastegates, or I keep saying wastegate, blow-off valve, and it's a direct fit on your on-3 turbo kit. So you got a barb fitting, a little nipple, stickers, instructions, whatever. All right. So this is what I really want to see. Let me get this V-band off and we'll compare these. Right off the bat, I can say just the quality of this V-band clamp right here is night and day difference as opposed to the cheap offshore China, whatever you want to call it. All right, size differences between the two. Like I say, these are both 50 millimeter. Blow-off valves. What I like about this also is the O-ring. It's nice, sits nice and snug. It's grooved in here where, I guess just a little design difference. I remember always trying to put this on this one. Always having a problem trying to get this to seat when I'm getting on that flange. I never felt that it was seated correctly every time I would put it on that charge pipe. So I do like the design of this, where, and I have to be sure if my charge pipe even has this recessed groove right here. That might be another thing. That might be an issue. But it shouldn't be. It's basically this one fits inside. Okay, so something to think about down the line when I get ready to install it. Size differences. This is supposed to be a 50 millimeter opening. You know, they both have that diaphragm. Oh, that's got a real stiff spring in there. Let's see, height wise. Actually, the Turbosmart is a little bit taller, but the difference is instead of having this nipple right here, you've got a port for a nipple right here, and another, yeah, basically 2 ports. But what's going to be interesting is changing the spring. How the hell you get the spring out of here? You know, you have the Allen heads for this one, and you might need a vise, because it seems like this might be some kind of locking ring. So we're gonna play around with this and see if I can get this off. But first, let's just throw it on a bench and test it and see when this thing cracks open, how much vacuum. All right, so here is our test setup. I'm going to pull vacuum on the spring. We're gonna see how much vacuum we need to open up this blowout valve. Now, at idle, my car sees about 10 inches of vacuum. So I kind of think this blowout valve has not been opening. So let's find out. So it looks like right around, 14 inches. And let's do it again. So that's right about 14 inches of vacuum. Way too tight of a spring for my setup. You know, with my cam, like I said, at max I would see 11 inches of vacuum. And actually that's with the car in neutral, not in gear. When the car is in gear, our vacuum drops down even lower than that. So definitely gotta change out the spring and make some adjustments to this. Now, I don't know what spring is in there. I have another spring right here. So I'm gonna open this up, throw the spring in there, and do another bench test. All right, so now I'm just going to open this up and hope I don't like get smacked in the face by any of this. And I really don't think you need a vise for this. And I believe these springs are exactly the same. That's a little bit stiffer. Like if you look at the thickness of this one compared to this one, and I can squeeze this one easier. So this is a lot stiffer spring. So this might be the fella I need. So let's throw this one. It just fits right in the cup. Right in the cup. Like this diaphragm didn't have any tears on it. Looks good. But you know, just the feel of this machining just feels cheap, you know. So you just put that in there, get one bolt. It's not rocket science. And you line it up and I would try to get at least a couple of these started before you let go. Once you get a couple of these started, that's enough tension. With this spring, you know, use a little common sense. This is not a real tight spring. You saw I was able to pretty much compress it with just one hand. Here we're going to throw it on our tester, and we'll see how much of a difference this makes. That might work for me. It looked like right about 8 inches of vacuum. Right at 10. It actually started cracking a lot sooner than that. So if you look at that wrap in here, I think it's right around 6, 7, 7.5, 8, it starts to crack. Yeah, I think right at 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So way too much blow off spring in here at first, so it didn't sound like I had any compressor surge, but I was on real low boost. When I say low boost, that's relative. I was seeing a max of like 7. But see, you know, last year, this is the same spring I had on the car last year. Of course, I had the leaky header, and so I was only getting 12 psi, and it wasn't consistent. And I might have had some compressor surge and didn't even know. All right, so we're going to take this out. Well, first let's test the Turbosmart right out of the box and see how much vacuum that spring is going to hold. All right, so let's see what happens. Wow. I can't even get this thing to pull any more vacuum. it's cracked at about 20 inches of vacuum. Definitely way too much for my hoopty. So let me figure out how to get this thing off and change these fittings. Well, change the spring. All right, so I have to say this is the best, worst engineering design that you can have. You know, the cool thing about some of the other vendors, they still have this, you know, design where you just unfasten the cap and you change the spring. Turbosmart is engineered to win, so they have this freaking ring around here that you have to take off before you can change the spring. The problem with this is, you know, I don't know, maybe I didn't do it correctly, but you know, you put this in a vise, and maybe I should have had some wood or something, but you know, the vise kind of bites into this, which could create a surface to scratch your O-ring. And then, okay, so say you have a press to do this, and I had to go over to my friend's house and use his press to do this. They still have like a coil over. I mean, it's like a coil over design actually, where you know you have that little hook that hooks into one of these and you can spin this off. You know, I had it in a press luckily, so I just took a screwdriver, flathead, put it in one of these grooves and just knocked it loose. But I couldn't do that from a vise. I couldn't use a pair of a pipe wrench. You know, the problem is I have it in a vise, this whole thing starts to spin. So I think they really designed this to have this changed using a press. So, and the other thing is, you know, they don't take these kind of springs. They take a very small diameter spring. So they force you in so many ways to use their product, which I think is a little cheesy. But let's do a functional test on this. All right, so I'm disappointed, like honestly. This is just, you know, this is a lot of money for this, and it looks good. You know, that's part of the reasons why I bought it over the, you know, the Precision or the other brands. I just thought it looked cool. You know, it's a blow-off valve. You know, they all do the same thing, but you just have to do the most to change the spring on this thing. It's I think it's ridiculous, you know. But let's get to the testing. And the reason why I got this to work is because I cut the spring. You know, I don't. Yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to order the correct spring. Use, you know, I think it's $30 or whatever. But you know, I just cut the spring, and I just cut a little bit at a time. Test, cut, test. Luckily, it only took me 2 times to get. This is all off camera. The magic of YouTube. You do everything. You pre-stage everything to make it seem like you did it on the first take. So I had to make 2 different cuts just to get that crack vacuum of about 8 inches. So you can see. I didn't say as you can see. So you'll see it start cracking up open around 8 inches of vacuum. All right, let me wrap this up because, you know, honestly, I'm thoroughly disappointed in this. You know, I liked the small package design of this, But this damn system I'm just replacing the spring, you know? Maybe I'm making too much of it, because I just think, you know, just DIY guys, you know, working out of their garage, they don't have access to a press. You know, they might not be lucky enough to have a friend, you know, a neighbor who has a press, you know, a couple of houses down. And so it's a hassle. You know, you fork out this kind of money on this thing. I think it's a not, I guess I would say, a DIYer friendly setup. Like, what if you don't have like a bench vise at your house? You know, one thing that I did do at times when I had a spring in here which I couldn't compress with my hand, I used a set of C-clamps. You know, you just take this off, use something to cover that port, use something to cover this port, and just use a C-clamp and just, you know, compress it down. There's no way possible that you could use a C-clamp, you know, to change this. So, hey, I'm going off on a rant on this. I'm going to keep it, you know, I'm going to rock with it. So tell me what you think. You know, if you've, I think their wastegates are the same design. You know, am I being too hard on this? If you have one of these and you don't have a vise, and you don't have a, you know, gosh, I'm so off my thought right now. What I'm trying to say, you don't have a press or a vise. You know, how do you get this thing off? How do you change springs if you have one of these? Didn't do my research too much, because, you know, my mind is just a blow-off valve. You know, you take the cap off and you change the spring. So let me know what you think. We'll get this in the car. And now I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem with this seat. I don't know how different it is from the on-3 seat, but judging by what I had to go through on this, I'm sure this is going to be an issue also. So tell me what you think. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, tell your friend about the channel. Tell two of your friends about the channel. That's all I ask you. You know, I'm up to almost 900 subscribers. Once I get to the 1,000 mark, I do have the Roadrunner torque converter that I'm ready to send off to get rebuilt and sent to your house. So, you know, help me get to that 1,000 mark. You know, tell two people about the channel. And I appreciate your time. God bless.